All right, welcome everybody to the Roundtable, episode number 17. So we have a very special guest, being Isaac, first of all, my son, and the producer of our podcast, who you hear me refer to, and I've had people say this, like, you talk about him all the time. When are you going to have him on here? Well, Isaac, welcome.
Here I am, not behind the screens anymore.
Yeah, so everybody can see Isaac. So it's been awesome for a couple reasons. One, it's always great when you can work with your kids and be able to do something that you're both passionate about. So again, one of the things that Isaac has always been passionate about is communication, broadcasting, that type of thing. So you want to tell our audience a little bit about that piece of your life?
Yeah, throughout high school, I took classes with Mr. Altman. So I did sports broadcasting, radio 1, 2, 3, radio labs, TV 1, 2, and then I was gonna do like their HNHS Today, which is like kind of like a podcast, and you do like news for the school and everything, but they took it away, so I ended up just doing labs another year. But yeah, working a lot with Mr. Altman just kind of got me into the habit of doing stuff with cameras, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being able to make projects that didn't look like garbage. So it was fun. It was fun to do.
But it was something in school that made sense.
Yeah,
right?
and Altman was a great teacher and great guy, which helped like me enjoy the subject a lot more, because I hated high school and I hated being
Amen,
at school
brother.
all the time. And so that was like one thing I could look forward to throughout the day, is like I still got class with Altman. He made it fun and let us be creative, and so that was like fun. The fun thing about school is someone that's not always telling you what to do and just says go do what you want, and I'll help you do it. So
Well, and again, big shout out to Mr. Altman, because again, not only did he sell me a Volkswagen that we drove for a really long time for a really great price, thank you, Mr. Altman.
Yeah,
But he also, again, that whole passion for kids that you don't normally get. Like when I grew up in high school, you didn't get a chance to do a communications class, and you didn't get a chance to, be able to look at radio and TV, and like they took you to New York.
Yeah, we
right?
went to New York, so he takes a couple of his kids like every other year. I don't know if they're still doing it because of COVID and everything, but
COVID's not real.
Yes, he has a friend that works in a news station up in New York, and so he brings the class of kids up there, and so like we got to go on to Good Morning America. We got to go. Usually we go behind the scenes into a football game, but we couldn't that year. I don't remember the reason why. But we got to go into like the control room, see how everything was done.
What you said is amazing, right?
Oh, it's
like
it's
if you
ridiculous.
look at when people. This is the funny thing. So when people come in as guests and they look at Nick's production room,
Yeah,
that he
our
put
control
up.
room.
So Nick's producing today. But if they look at Nick's production room and all those TVs that are up there, they're like, wow,
Oh, yeah.
like you guys are sophisticated. But when you told me that there's like 20 or 30 TVs
it's
up
more.
there,
It's a whole wall. I mean, like a whole from end to end. I mean, TVs. There's like 8.
and so,
dudes
like, the
sitting
guy,
there.
like, what Nick's doing right now from a production standpoint, or what, like, Nick has people on Sunday morning that does that same thing, right? They produce and pick what shots. They have to look at 30 TVs, like 30 different shots.
There's like 8 guys like spaced all across this room. They all have headsets on. There's one guy in control, and he's calling out all the shots. And
I would be a stressed out mess
Oh,
looking
it's-
at 30 different
It's
screens.
it's different. Like up here, like I mean, you can feel the pressure sometimes because I mean you're live, so you don't want to make mistakes and look dumb.
Right. You don't want to cut to the camera that's
Right.
pointed at the floor.
Right. And
Right.
so I mean, when you're doing it for like a news station, then I
I
mean these
can't
dudes
imagine.
are like stressing. I mean, it's intense when we
Right.
were watching it back there because they're like, don't talk to them, just stand here and watch because they're like gonna do their own thing. And yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'd never be able
But
to
it's
do this.
really neat, though, that it's like, hey, you take a classroom thing, and teach kids about it, and then take them and show them an experience. Like I don't know how many people would think, like, this could be a real life job, because, again, one of my dreams has always been, I want to be a color commentator for football games. Like, I want to, so the closest I've ever got is being able to announce being the color guy for Lexi's volleyball games, which I know nothing about volleyball, but I could be a good color guy, right? Like, I could add in the, I've watched her play enough that I could add in. So I want to be a broadcaster. Somebody give me some love and let me broadcast a football game. There's no chances anymore. I don't have any kids playing anymore. Give me a chance. Mr. Altman, can I come on and do some Huntington North color?
Seriously. Well, that was the thing, too. Like, if Altman, like, if you really cared about, like, what you were doing, like, he'd invest into you, help you find schools, so, like, go do it and, like, further it if you want to do it. Because there's, like, a lot of kids that just take the class because Altman's cool, and then they're, like, don't essentially have to do a lot. Kind of like Jeremy. Jeremy would come in there and just sleep every single day.
Yeah, we can say what we want about Jeremy because Jeremy ain't listening to the podcast.
Right.
Yeah, no, Jeremy would be like, this is a perfect class. You get 2-hour nap.
Yeah, he would just come in there and sleep, and Altman was just like, well, I mean, you can fail. Like, he was like, if you're not going to put in the work, like, I don't really care.
Right.
But the people that did, like Jaron Matheny, and I mean, there's I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but every single one.
Yeah, they've went on
mean,
and done stuff.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
it.
they're doing stuff on, like, ESPN, and, like, Julia Christ, who I went to New York with, is, like, a famous YouTuber now.
What?
Yeah.
There's somebody from Huntington that's a famous YouTuber?
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, famous YouTuber, can you put our podcast out there and make us
seriously.
famous too? Because we said, what's her name again?
Julia Christ.
Okay. How did she become famous on YouTube?
I don't know, but she did.
What does she do? Do you know? Have you seen any of her YouTube stuff?
No, I haven't watched any of her videos, but
I mean, because the one guy became famous because he's gonna box people, or what's that guy's name?
I think it's just like
about the blonde guy.
What blonde?
Yeah, Logan Paul. Thank
Logan
you.
and Jake
right?
Paul.
Like he's out there doing.
Well, yeah, the one does podcasts now too. Like Impulsive or something like that. I think.
Know.
I don't know.
We need to raise our ratings. People, listen, make us famous.
Yeah, we just need
However you do that on social media.
We just need to be featured on something.
Huh?
Someone famous just needs to give us a shout out.
Yeah, somebody famous. Give us a little help.
We're stuck in the bubble of Huntington right now.
Get us outside the bubble.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so any of you YouTube famous people. But anyway, cool experience broadcasting. Both of us love doing this. Nick has given us a great environment up here to be able to do it in. And again, remember the whole idea of the round table was have conversations about real life where people can kind of get to know, who we are, but at the same time talk about how does Scripture fit into real life. Right. So what else is going on in your life? What else is happening? What is new? We always ask our guests, what are you watching? What are you doing? What's important in your life right now?
So right now, I mean, I'm training for a Spartan race.
That he got me involved in. And by the way, I have worked out 3 times this week.
Well, that's
I
not
could
very
barely
good.
sit. What?
I said that's not very good.
Are you kidding? What is today? Wednesday. That means
so you've done it every day this week?
Yes.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've been grinding. I could barely sit down in my chair today, but I've been grinding.
Well, that's good. Okay. I thought you said 3 times the past week.
Okay. So the weeks before, I had good intentions.
Yeah.
I didn't do very well.
Yeah,
I got attacked by a German Shepherd.
Just run in here. You own the gym.
Listen, I'm out there running on the road, and a German Shepherd seriously attacks me.
That's what I'm saying.
Snarling German Shepherd.
You have a whole gym with multiple
treadmills.
treadmills.
I'm terrible. Let's just
lines set up for distance.
No, I know. We just talked about this at our staff meeting. Like, what are you doing? Get back and be disciplined again. So I'm in. So he's training for a Spartan race. I'm training for a Spartan race because I don't want to puke.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah,
hills aren't natural.
You're not going to puke.
Well, we're not natural runners, all right? It's not in my genes to go run 6 miles.
No, here's the deal. We run so we can smash people.
What?
That's in the hill genes.
Yeah, for football?
Yeah, there's a purpose. Run across there, knock that guy's head off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, I'll run as hard as I can.
Yeah, but that was 5 yards. That's a lot different than 6 miles.
It might be farther than 5 yards. The point is, we'll run to the table and eat. We'll run to smash somebody. We'll run away from snarling German Shepherds.
Yep.
Because we don't like any of that. But just to run.
Yeah.
But at least this one, listen, there's obstacles, so you get to run a little, stop, run a little, stop.
Well, that's how the 5K I did was. It was 3 miles and it was 56 obstacles. So
56. This is only 21 obstacles.
25.
Oh, Judas, you said 21.
No. It's the 5K is 20.
It just keeps getting worse.
The 10K is 25. It just goes up
Listen,
5
I talked to Lance Clark, okay, and so Lance, son-in-law, who does this as a competition, he really wants to do this. The last time got put in the medical tent because he had done mud runners, and so he decided to do a Spartan, and the Spartan was so intense he made it halfway through and had to get put in a medical tent because he was passing out.
Well, did he do more than 6 miles?
No, No.
What?
No, he was
Because
doing.
they have like a half marathon.
No, I know. You
Spartan
signed
race.
me up for it, remember?
Yeah.
On accident.
Yeah, on accident I did.
No, on accident, you put me in the Beast, and I'm only supposed to be in the Little Beast or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
but
it's
no,
the
like
Super
he's saying, like
something.
this stuff's serious.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why you had to be 18. You have to sign a waiver to do it.
Well, in case I die.
Yeah, I mean they're not responsible for
Listen,
it.
here's what everybody knows. If you're watching me on the Spartan race, my kids know this. Do not resuscitate me. I'm ready to go to heaven. If I keel over and start foaming at the mouth, just walk away and finish the race.
Yeah,
Okay? That's the way it's
probably
supposed to
not
work.
going to happen.
What?
There's no one's going to let you just die out in the race.
They should.
That's
Don't
not-
make me
it's not
live.
gonna be
I'm
like
ready
that.
to go. So if I'm foaming at the mouth, just keep on running. You know, just put a cone around me. I don't want to be stepped on while I'm laying there, but
Yeah.
let people keep going. Just
You
put
you can be the 26th obstacle.
you got to jump over the dead guy.
Yeah.
Or the guy that's dying, one
Right.
of the two. Yeah, just jump over the top of him. That might be me, because I've already said this. Like the idea, and I wonder if this is really true, that they said if you don't do an obstacle, you have to do burpees.
Yeah, it's 30 burpees.
I'm not doing a burpee.
They watch you. They make you do
What if
them.
I don't do them? What are they going to do?
Then you're not going to like pass the race, I
So
guess.
that I don't get a medal?
Yeah, probably not.
Bull crap.
Do your
That's
burpees.
I don't want to do a burpee.
Then do the
I
obstacle.
hate burpees.
See, that's the mindset I got right now.
What?
Is that I'm not doing burpees.
I am the same
I don't
thing.
I don't care what the obstacle takes. I'm doing it.
Okay, well,
I don't want to do
I don't
burpees.
want to do a burpee, but you're not robbing me of my medal.
Yeah, seriously. I want the medal.
I
I
want
paid
the
the extra.
medal,
I
too.
paid
Like,
the
if I
extra
did all that-
$12 for it.
Is that what it costs? $12?
Yeah, to
for
put
the medal?
like your time on the back.
Oh, I
No, you
know.
get the medal for
If
free.
I go
but-
through that crap and they're like, "You missed a burpee," and they don't give me a medal, I'm taking
well,
somebody
they just
down.
won't. They just won't let you move on. I'm
What?
assuming. Like there's like stations, and so like you do the obstacle. If you can't do it, then you do burpees to the side.
Listen, I hope
And
I
then
don't
there's,
have
like,
to
people
fight
that
somebody
watch.
over this.
Well, you won't.
Because, huh?
You
This
won't
might
because they're
happen.
in charge.
What?
You won't get your medal if you don't do them.
Listen, if there's some pansy telling me I missed a burpee, I'll kick him off the chair and keep going. Like, that ain't the way it's
No,
working.
they stand. I
Huh?
don't think they sit the whole time.
This is going to take 2 hours. They're going to
It's
sit
take
there for
longer
2
than
hours.
2 hours. It
Huh?
starts at like 8 a.m.
And they sit there the whole time.
and it's like 8 from 12.
All right. So anyway, we're training for a Spartan race. What
Training
else
for
are
a
you doing?
Spartan
What
race.
else are you doing?
Just bought an Oculus, so that's pretty awesome.
It actually is pretty cool. I hate video games, but Isaac has this virtual reality
Yeah.
for anybody that doesn't know what Oculus
Yes,
is.
the Oculus Quest 2. It's the newest virtual
And
reality from
Nick
Facebook.
gave you suggestions last week.
Yeah,
right?
it's the Richie's Plank experience. I was looking about it, and
Did you get it then?
No, I haven't.
What was the
got it
one he
yet.
told you to get and you got?
Huh?
There was something else he told you to get.
No, we were talking about Super Hot.
Super hot.
Yeah, so
right.
it's,
You
it's-
did that, right? Like you got
Oh
it.
yeah, I have.
Yeah, the thing I
beat
was
Super
doing
Hot.
was like lightsabers.
He
smashing
was playing.
boxes.
You were playing Beat Saber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was practicing for my drumming.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
yeah, because it goes to the beats.
No,
of
I
them.
know. That's why Nichelle, she won't let me drum, but I got rhythm. Nichelle.
Yeah, Super Hot is awesome. No, it's like slow mo Matrix. Like you're submerged into it.
Is this the thing Jeremy was doing and you were watching on the app?
Yeah,
Okay, he was terrible.
yeah, he was pretty bad.
I don't know what he was doing, but you showed it on your phone, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what in God's green earth is
Oh,
he
yeah,
doing?
he's
Because that
pretty
can't
rough.
be normal.
No.
Like, what he was doing wasn't working.
No, all my friends have been pretty bad at Super Hot, except Kyle because he has a VR. But
Okay.
it does take a little bit to like get used to like the mechanics of like being in virtual reality.
Here's what I want. There was a guy, Nick, who sets up all your computers that comes in here and works. Kevin said that there was this thing like, hey, why go to Paris? Because you can just put on your virtual reality and walk around Paris.
I'm sure there's an app for
I
it. I just
want-
don't know what it is.
So listen, so Sherry and I are thinking about going to Fort Worth, Texas over spring break. So leave after Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm like,
seriously.
I want a VR at first so I can kind of have an idea what Fort Worth looks like. So
And if I find the app for it, I mean, it's not hard to like
yeah,
download
he's
them. I just
saying
need
like
to
you
find
just
the
like
app.
walk around Paris. And after putting on that headset, I
Oh,
would
it's-
really believe it because
It's like real,
that
man.
was seriously like real. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking around like, wow, this could be a problem.
Yeah,
Right? Like I could be. I hate video games.
That's what me and my
but
friends were talking about. Is like, can you imagine in like 30 years what this thing's gonna be like?
Can you imagine 30 years what kids are going to be like?
No, I can't. the
There's-
iPad is the virtual pacifier already.
No, I know. Can you imagine? I can just imagine. Like, have you seen that? is it called a progressive? You know, where they always are having these commercials and that guy's riding around in a vehicle and he's eating hot wings and he has like red stuff coming out of his mouth and he's sitting there going, this is going to be the new virtual reality world. People are going to have their Oculus on and they're going to be sitting on their couch and they're going to...
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Black Mirror at all?
Huh?
Black Mirror?
Black Mirror.
Okay, it's really like strange and it's not for everyone, so disclaimer.
So Nick has watched it, so Nick's shaking his head.
But there was one episode, you know, the one where they like put the thing in their eye and they can like rewatch their memories? Yes. So it's like that. It honestly wouldn't even surprise me if that was like what the future is like.
To rewatch your memories. Yeah, like so it can go into your brain.
Yeah, so they have like these things that were put on and it's like the episode like goes on and so like as they're like doing stuff, like he has like a job interview, for example. And so he like goes in and the interview doesn't go so well. So then he's like in the car and he like pulls out his remote and clicks on it and you can like go see what you just saw. So he's like rewatching it and was like looking at like what he could have done better and all this. And so it's like
reviewing the tape.
Yeah. So it was like
like watching film.
Right. And it goes through the whole episode and then essentially it just keeps showing you at some points that they're just like stuck and they're just like reliving their memories instead of like actually living. So I'm like, that wouldn't even surprise me that people are just
Jeremy
like
told
zombies.
me that he would have a phone implanted in his head so he didn't have to carry it around. Like,
yeah, Jeremy's done, though.
I'm like, what has happened to this world? He's like, dude, it'd be awesome. They just like stick it in your brain and you just think you want to call somebody and it calls them and you get, I'm like.
That's what Elon Musk is working on.
What?
Neuralink.
Neuralink.
Yeah, it's a chip in your brain that he wants to do.
No chips.
Nope, I don't.
No chips.
That's what I told him. Like,
Mark of the beast.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be a cyborg.
Right?
Like
Mark of the beast. This is what's going to happen.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Huh? They're going to be tracking us around. Like, isn't this like the big thing? Like, this is going to be the same thing.
I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm not getting a Neuralink. I'm not putting none of that stuff
Nick,
in me.
you're getting the Neuralink. Have you ever heard of it? You've heard of it before? You're not going that far.
I don't want to be a robot. Like I can function fine myself.
It would be back to what was the thing I watched as a kid? Cyborg? No. What's that?
Terminator?
Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's going to turn into.
Dude, I know. That's what I'm saying. Why I'm not doing it.
Although, listen, I would if Tesla came out with a truck right now.
The Cybertruck.
That truck is ugly. I'm saying
it's bulletproof. Though.
Listen, the Hummer that's all electric. The Hummer that's all
awesome.
electric, 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Dude, if that thing was affordable, I would be having it.
LeBron has one.
Huh?
LeBron has one.
Okay, well, I'm not going to own one because I hate LeBron.
Well, he's hurt.
If Michael Jordan owned one, I would have one, but not LeBron. Because remember this whole argument, who's the best ever?
I just think you can't compare him.
Well, it's easy to compare. Yeah, you're right. You can't compare him. Michael Jordan is far better than LeBron James.
It's just whole different eras of basketball. Like everyone just shoots threes now.
No, I know.
But I don't think. I just think it's hard to compare. Like I think like back in the old days, you know, it was like
the old days.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
I mean, I wasn't
that long ago.
I wasn't born, so I mean, it was old enough for that.
Michael Jordan winning championships was 20 years ago.
Dude,
no.
I was born in 2001. He was not winning championships in 2001.
Here's the deal. You're right. It's not comparable because Michael Jordan's so much better than LeBron James.
Well, it's just like a whole different style of basketball. People didn't shoot threes back then, and people only shoot threes now. I mean, back then, I think it was just
and I know the star players weren't protected like they are right now.
I mean,
like,
it was
they
like
would get thumped. And
it was fighting. Like I mean, it was like street ball.
That's why the NBA used to be fun. It was like watching hockey. If you knew the Detroit Pistons were playing, listen, it was like watching a hockey game. Hockey's like, oh, puck, fight. And everybody's like, yeah, hockey is now awesome.
Yep.
Guy got his tooth knocked out. Same thing. Detroit Pistons are playing. I mean, at one time when, was it the Pacers and the Pistons got in and it spilled over into the crowd and people were throwing beer and chairs. And I'm like, NBA, wow, this is good
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. It's just not like that anymore. It's soft.
No, I know.
It's soft now.
That's why I'm saying you can't compare Michael Jordan. Okay, so
I like Michael Jordan. I think he's better.
Oh, I know. Brady seriously got mad at me in Europe because we were having this argument. He stopped talking.
He literally wouldn't talk to
No, I
either
know. He
of
wouldn't
us.
talk because Isaac and I kept saying, no, it's Michael Jordan. Just to make him mad because not that I know that much about it other than I watch Michael Jordan and I'm not sure I
just wanted to make Brady mad.
Of LeBron James. And yeah, so Brady seriously gets to the point like, you guys are idiots and he won't even talk.
Yep.
You know, won't say anything. All right. The other thing you're doing, what are you watching right now? What are you watching on TV?
I am watching iCarly right now.
Which is the weirdest thing ever.
I don't think it's weird. That was literally like my childhood. You know how like
no,
nostalgic
I know.
it is to like
so when you were a
rewatch it?
child, it made complete sense to watch our Kyle. You're 20.
So
why are you
it's
watching?
it's even funnier now
Why?
because they have stuff I didn't get when I was a kid that I get now, and I'm like, well, that's what you were sneaking in.
So there were subliminal messages that you didn't get as a kid.
It's like all kid shows have that. There's so many like adult jokes that are just slipped in there that like I never picked up.
There are adult jokes in iCarly.
They have like children working in a sweatshop in one episode. Like yeah, and I was like, how did I like not think of this as a kid? But yeah, they like it's really weird. They're having kids make T-shirts for them, and they're in like 3rd grade, and so they try 2 different styles of like how you work the kids. And Sam, a character on the show, has them working like in a sweatshop, like in the bottom of this hotel. They get no food. They're eating like horse hooves, and it's like hot in there. I mean, they're sweating. And I'm like, this is like kind of dark. And I was just like, never thought about it when I was a kid. I guess.
Thought, that's normal.
Yeah.
People in basements making T-shirts and happens all the time.
Making penny tees is what they were making.
Making what?
Penny tees.
Penny tees.
Yeah, they was just like 2 random words on a shirt that make no sense, but. Yeah, that was just the episode. But I was like, yeah, that's funny. I was like, I never picked it up, but.
Well, I mean, Sherry will say this stuff. She'll be like, oh, you know, that cartoon that you watched back, and then the cartoon will come on when Hadley's watching, and she's like, oh, it just brings back so many memories. Like, you remember when you used to watch cartoons? I'm like, no, I was scraping hog poop on Saturday mornings, not watching cartoons.
It's not like it's like a cartoon. It's like...
Okay, I'm saying this like whole like back to memory lane to what you used to watch on TV.
Oh, no, dude. They're still my favorite shows.
I'm still trying to figure out, would there be anything in my memory that I would have watched on TV? Like, what would have been something when I was a kid that I would have watched on TV?
The Andy Griffith Show is pretty old, isn't it?
I did not watch the Andy Griffith Show.
Well, or they have that Nom.
Who?
Isn't that an old show?
Nom.
Or something like that. I don't know. It's about like Vietnam or something.
Okay, I don't know.
Or Nash. That's what it's called.
No, it's called MASH.
MASH. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, so Nom, Nash,
Hey, I was getting there.
I did not watch MASH either.
Okay.
So there's
Well,
none of these.
Those are like the only
I'm sitting here trying
ones.
to think, what was it that as a kid that I watched on TV?
Okay, TV like wasn't popular. When
Nick,
you were
how
a
old
kid.
are you?
39.
39. So what was your like back in your childhood TV thing that you watched?
We watched like Scooby-Doo, Saved by the Bell.
And Scooby-Doo is great. I love Scooby-Doo.
Oh, Saved by the Bell. Like that's something I thought Isaac watched. You see, almost like you guys are the same age.
To watch it too, but
Did they really?
I don't think I've ever watched Save the Bell. I don't think I've ever heard
It's
of
not
it.
Save the Bell.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved
Zach
by-
Morris?
No.
Yeah, remember Nom?
Chill out, dude.
It's just like Nom.
Okay, listen, that's not my era.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to think back of whether I watched TV. Like I'm trying to decide if there was something I watched.
I just feel
on
like you
TV.
didn't, because it's like it wasn't like a culture thing back then.
Well,
to,
why
like,
is
watch
TV such a big culture thing now then?
Because we can't just go drive around and sit on the side of the roads. We get pulled over for that now.
What's
like
that supposed to mean? That's what we used to do?
Yeah, you used to drive to an old dirt road, turn on the country music,
And
roll,
drink some beer.
Yeah, roll
We
the
did do
windows
that.
down and
Yeah.
chill out.
Yeah,
Can't do that
So there's
anymore.
no more driving to
No,
country
dude,
roads.
You get soliciting tickets for that.
You know what I thought of the other day? So I'm over there. So we got this calf project going on. We're trying to get some calves going over in Adams County, some Amish people. And so you drive over in Amish County, and it's nice yesterday. And here's all these Amish kids. They're out there playing baseball and football and running all around. And you drive back into Huntington, and you look around like, there ain't a kid outside. They ain't doing nothing. You know why? They're inside with their Oculus
Hey,
watching Nom.
you just gotta have a balance.
What?
You just gotta have a balance. Like when it's nice outside, like I want to go outside and like fish and play basketball and like enjoy being outside. But when it's cold,
Okay, so that's a great question. Would you think, let's do a poll between you and Nick. Would you think most kids have a good balance between,
no,
So no.
no.
Nick,
Between
balance between TV and outdoors. Do most kids have a good balance?
No.
Yeah, so that's my problem. So
just
what
get,
do you do?
I just get tired of like sitting there for so long. I used to be able to do it. Like, I used to go to friends' houses, and we would stay up literally, like, all night long and play video games. And it was, like, not a thought in my head about it. Like,
So you kind of grew out of it?
Yeah. And then it was just, like, now I play for, like, an hour, 2 hours, and I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of bored.
Okay, well, Jeremy ain't growing out of it.
No, dude.
No, I feel like he's growing into it.
It's just like I think it's a personality thing. Like, I just get like antsy, like sitting there, and then I like want to go feel like I'm not a worthless piece of space, you know. Like, I want to go like
That's
do,
how I
do
feel.
something.
Like, I get off work now and I get home and, you know, we eat supper and we sit down. It's like 7 o'clock at night and we watch TV. I'm like, I feel like such a worthless piece of space.
Yeah.
Like when I just sit there
That's
and
why
watch
I hate.
TV.
That's why I hate the winter, because like I can't even just like sit outside. Because like I wouldn't even like mind not doing anything outside. Like, at least I'm outside and can enjoy it. But
enjoy the weather outside.
yeah, when I'm sitting inside throughout the winter, all winter long, it's like seasonal depression is like a real thing.
You know what? I would have never believed that, but when I think that's happening now. Like when I don't get the sun, like when you don't see the sunshine, I'm like, what's going on? Because I'm like, seriously, I'm not depressed, but it's like,
no, you just
there's
feel like
something about
dreary
the
all
sunshine.
time, yeah.
Something about the sunshine that just makes you be like, oh man, I'm feeling good about.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I love to just like go outside and just be in the sun instead of sit inside when it's gray all the time. Because then it just makes me feel like gray.
So let's talk about something that you've been on the other side of the production side of it. Nick's been a part of these conversations a lot. So if kids don't have a balance, whether it's social media, phones, TVs, Netflix, whatever that stuff is, how much effect is that going to have on them as an adult? And what is our responsibility? So, I mean, you're a young person right now. You look around at your friends, or you look around at, like, you know, juniors and seniors in high school, and you see this. Do you think it's going to have a long-term effect, or you just think most of these kids are just going to grow out of it?
I think that it's like some of the kids, like, I know we're really tearing down Jeremy here, but like,
okay. Jeremy doesn't listen to the podcast.
Jeremy is a good example of it, because he's just like, I feel like it's the personality with some people. They're just like struggle to be motivated and like want to be successful and like want to do something with their life, because then they just like fill that time with video games because they don't have anything else to do. So then that's just how they spend.
So you're saying it's a personality thing. So
I think so. I mean, like, I think when you're in like high school and like middle school, like some kids are gonna play video games more than others. But once they're like out of school, then they just kind of like grow out of it. I guess they're just like, don't sit there and play all night like I did. I mean, you can still play video games, but it's not like I live playing video games. You know what I mean?
You know what I think is, I'm surprised that adults play video games.
I'll probably play video games.
No,
when
I
I'm an
know.
adult.
Like, it's a real thing. Like, they really like. Because Nick, you play some video games, right? Like, but I think it's a cool. Like, I almost feel bad because it is a way to connect with your kids.
Oh, for
so,
sure.
So, like, when you guys asked me to play that COD or
Call of Duty,
Jesus Priest, I tried
that was
and
pretty
I'm
rough.
like, I wouldn't play that for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
kinda
cannot
hard.
figure it out. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I just got shot. That was stupid. You know, I'm like, I love you guys. I cannot sit here and get shot over and over again. It doesn't make any sense to me. Or, like, I don't even have the personality to just sit there. But I do think it's cool, like, when Nick talks about he's talks with his kids or he does that stuff with them. I'm like, if there is a balance, it is a pretty neat way, I think, to connect with the world they're in.
Yeah, that was the thing with, like, COVID especially, I think, is, like, the gaming industry, like, boomed during COVID.
So did the dog industry and the pregnancy industry.
Quarantine puppies and babies.
That's right.
A lot of video
There could
games.
be a lot of babies born and a lot of puppies were taken in.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But they said that it was like it helped people like not feel so depressed and anxious, because it's like you get to go like in another world and go do something else and escape from, you know, being in your crappy 2020 stuck in my house, can't go do anything.
And that is interesting. I probably don't give that enough thought of like where people's minds are. Like it helps them escape from the reality that life sucks.
Well, that's a lot of things, like especially with like athletes, is like that's one thing, especially when I was in like football and stuff, like all of us played a lot of video games because like our whole life was football. Like all we did was go to practice or lift, or everything we were doing was for football. I mean, more than 40 hours a week.
Right.
I mean, we were high schoolers doing that with school and expected to get all of our homework done, all of this. So, I mean, at some points we were like stressed out and like wanted to decompress. So it was like you
Yeah,
go
and
play
so yours is a release. So you're
Yeah.
saying like video games are a stress reliever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you don't really have to. I mean, don't get me wrong; they make me really mad, but it's like it's a different kind of mad because it's like you get to go like do something else other than having to be stressed out
No,
like
that's
about what
that's
you're
the
doing
point.
all the time.
Again, unfortunately, I get very narrow-minded about those things because like when I'm stressed out, I just go work.
Yeah,
like, and that's a
I-
great stress reliever for
right.
me. But obviously, understanding that people's personalities are different, and so what is that escape?
Well,
you know,
I just think it's like we grew up different, you know? Like you didn't grow up with video games and screens and technology, and you grew up with hard work, spit, grit, and duct tape, you know?
I don't know if I've heard it said like that. Hard work, spit, grit, and duck what?
Duct tape.
Duct tape.
Yeah. Going. I mean, it's just a whole different kind of growing up.
Oh, that's funny.
So I think that's
Yeah,
definitely why we, do our stress relief in different
I
ways.
just
'cause
wonder too, like, what is that balance? So what is, I mean, so yeah, we didn't have it, and there are a lot of people would say is like, oh my gosh, kids need more of this, and then, but I wonder, like, is there also that other side of it that people that grew up the way I did err on the side of working too much.
Yeah.
You know what I
think
mean?
so.
Like err on the side of you don't know how to have fun anymore. You know what I mean? You're like the whole idea of like what does it mean to actually have fun? You've been in a grind for all of your life. The idea of like sitting down and laughing at a TV show or taking the
Yeah.
time to go to a
Well,
movie. I
that's-
mean, I grew up with a lot of people that they had never went on vacation.
Yeah.
You know,
I
because
mean,
of
that's
work.
what I would tell you too. I mean, sometimes
Uh-oh.
when you were dad will sit there at home
Dang
and
it.
say like, I feel like the worthless piece of space, but it's like all you've done is work all day long. So it's like trying to learn of like, it's okay to have downtime and like be chill and not be working all the time. Because I do think that is
The
like
wisdom of our children.
I do.
Out of a child's mouth, right? They're teaching us, Nick.
I do think it's
No, I
like
know.
you need to be okay with like being like lazy sometimes when you've worked hard.
To be what?
I mean, it's not really being lazy, I guess, when you've worked hard all the time, but to not have
Please don't put that in mind.
to not
Re-
be busy
No,
24/7.
again, you're right. Like there is this idea that you should be able to work hard and play hard,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I guess my point in all of that is just saying, yeah, there's your generation errs on the side of playing more than they do working.
Yeah, that's why
We
I
err on
think-
the side of working more than we do
sure.
playing. And so we would all agree there probably should be a balance in there where
Mm-hmm.
we can all learn to work. But I mean, and I see this in you guys is that, for the majority of my life, I've worked 80, 90 hours a week,
Yeah.
and that's just what was normal to me. But like with you guys, Brady and you and anybody else that grew up in our home is like, listen, I'm okay with 40 or 50 hours a week. Like I don't need to, for me to be fulfilled, I don't feel like I need to work 80 hours a week. That there's this positive in downtime. There's positive in relationships. There's positive in having space in your life. And yeah, I think it's just it's a generational thing, and I think we could both learn from each other on what's the balance and how can we help people recognize that balance. All right, so let's talk about Sunday because we've talked a lot, so we might be getting close
Yeah,
to the
probably.
end, and we want to make sure what we get in this whole idea of. So Sunday was a vision casting message, right? And so obviously for you grew up like this because for 17 years we've essentially talked about the same thing. Like we need to try to figure out how to reach people, and we need to figure out how to create environments to be able to reach people. And so we talked on Sunday, like the Great Commission. So Jesus said to his disciples, okay, I'm going away. The only way the world's going to get reached is through people reaching people. You guys are plan A. That's who I trained, So now you need to go out and you need to reach them, teach them, and send them back out to reach more people. And so we said, like, what does that look like for us individually to be able to do it? And how do we, go down that road? And so maybe share with me a little bit, through your own life and your own situations, like what does it look like for a young person today to try to reach their friends? Because that's the other thing that Nick and I have talked about this numerous different times. The 18 to 24-year-old generation, 25-year-old, they're missing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like faith has not been an important part of their journey, and they didn't grow up with it. And so we're saying, hey, Isaac, go out and reach your friends. Or Nick's saying to his kids, go out and reach your friends. And the challenge of that is way different than it was when I was a kid. Most of the time when I grew up, people that were around me, they might not have liked the church, or maybe they might have been, in the terminology of the old people, out sowing their wild oats.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that before? Yeah, so they're out sowing their wild oats, and once they get done with that, they'll get back on track.
Yep.
And they knew what back on track looked like because they
Right.
grew up in it, but that's not your generation.
No,
So
yeah,
talk a
for
little
sure.
bit about that.
So I think definitely like a strategy that I've had to do is, I mean, you know, especially because you're my dad. I mean, I didn't have like the best high school experience going through it. For the audience that don't know, I lost a couple friends. My grandma had died during that, so it was just kind of like a lot of loss, like all at once.
And again,
so,
a lot of loss of the kids that are, again, at young age. I mean, these
Yeah.
kids were
yeah,
15
I mean,
and 16 years old.
Yeah, my eighth grade year, I lost one of my friends, and then I lost my grandma my freshman year, and then I lost another one of my friends my sophomore year. So it was like those 3 years in a row were kind of rough. Made my high school experience kind of rough. I wouldn't say it like reshaped my personality, but it definitely made me grow up a lot quicker and like just want to do things on my own a lot more, I guess. And so it was like that whole experience kind of like, I mean, it was, wouldn't say like traumatic, but I mean, it wasn't great either.
Well, again, when we
And-
say trauma, it's not like that's a negative term. I
Right.
mean, the people have trauma,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's big or small. I mean, it is trauma.
And that was a big faith test for me because it was like I obviously grew up. I mean, you're a pastor, grew up in a Christian home. Like I knew what my foundation was, but it was like after all of that happened, I was just kind of like pissed at God. Like seriously, like all at once, like why are you doing this to me? And like, what did I do to like have all of this happen at once? Especially it was like I didn't really like know what death was. Like I knew like of it, but it wasn't like personal to me yet. So it was like once it was like personal and it was like these are people I love, I'm like seriously, like you're gonna take all of this away from me at once and just expect me to like figure it out. And like looking back on it now, I'm just like I really should have just like put my trust in him, but it just kind of gave me the mentality of I'll just do it myself then.
Right. Well,
And-
again, it's easy to say that. Like
Right.
looking back on
Right,
your
for
memories,
sure.
it's easy to say, well, I should have responded in a certain way. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing that can, when you lose somebody that you love and you're trying to make sense of it all and it doesn't make sense, that's easy to say, hard to do.
Right, for sure. And so now that I can look back at it, I mean, like I had one of my friends, I won't say who it was, but he came back from college and we sat down and had a talk, and he really opened up to me about how he was like really depressed and like really anxious and was having thoughts of like taking his life and everything. And so it was like I got to use those like years of hardship and like, I mean, because that was like a big window where Satan could like attack me, because it was like me trying to do everything on myself just led to me like isolating myself. And then it was just like, okay, then it was like all in my head. I'm just going to do everything myself. I didn't want to reach out because I didn't want to like burden people. It was just like, I'm just going to figure out this whole deal by myself. Don't need God. Like, and then that was just like a huge attack on my like headspace. So it was like, I mean, I knew what kind of thoughts like he was like talking about. And so it was like, now that I had those years and like knew what that was like, it was like I could relate to him. And so it was like he thought he was the only one that like thought these things. And so it was like, then it was kind of crazy that I could like look back and be like, thank you, God, for like putting me through that so I can like reach him. And so I think that's like a big thing for like kids my age to like try and reach them for God, is like they don't necessarily like care. I was like, some of them know, but it's like they're more focused on like, I want to live the college life. I want to go do whatever I want. Like, I'll get to church eventually. And for some of them, they have no foundation, and so it's like hard to build that with them. So it's like I try for those ones to like use my experiences, because like most of the time, like I've been through a decent amount for being, 19. And so it's like, it gives me a broad spectrum of like, hey, like I've been there, like I know what you feel. And it's like, I'm there with you. Like, you're not the only one. And I think that's like a big thing for kids my age, is like they feel like they're the only one going through things.
Well, and I think that you can be proud of your intentionality. I mean, we said a long time ago, and I've said this on the podcast before, is as a parent, I'm not going to pick your friends. Like, and I'm not going to tell you, like, your friends are awful and terrible people. I'm going to say, let's reach your friends. Like, if they don't know Jesus, let's try to reach them then. And so the intentionality of, and we've done this with, each one of you I've done it with the, all the boys, and Sherry's done it with the girls, is like, invite them to a small group. Bring them to our house. We'll feed them. Everybody likes food, especially kids your age. Everybody loves food. Everybody wants to see somewhat of a normal family unit. Like, a lot of your friends didn't come from a normal family unit, so being around a family unit made sense to them. And then let's just sit around and let's really look at the Bible. But I never invited them. I never, again, wasn't in relationship with any of them. It was the intentionality of you saying, I'm going to reach my friends. And you went out and you brought them in and had great experience throughout your high school career of being with these kids and helping them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, I mean, it's just hard to do it alone. I think for anyone, whether you're 18 or 40, I mean, it's hard to do, that walk alone with God. And so I think that was, like, helpful for all of us, that it was, like, we're doing it as a group together. And so I think, I mean, from those guys, I mean, they'll say, like, that was some of the best experiences of my life, is, like, getting together and, like, being able to figure that all out together.
Right, and do it together.
Yeah,
the idea of not doing it alone, going through it together. And speaking of together, we got to give out, we have a new podcast listener, right? Isaac's girlfriend, Brie.
Oh, yeah.
Is now
Shout out
listening.
Brie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we got to make sure, because this is the new chapter of your life, right? Is that, you're in relationship with Brie. You've been in a relationship with her for a long time.
2 years on Easter.
2 years on Easter.
Love you, babe.
Love you, Brie. And this is what we've always said. In a relationship, this is the thing, and I've seen this, with you, is that when you're in the right relationship, you make each other better. And Brie has been a great addition to you, and that you guys as a partnership and looking at how you can not only reach your friends but her friends, and that you guys' commitment to those things have really been good. So that's the other part, is each season of life has a journey, and Brie's a part of the new season.
I wouldn't be who I am today, I think, if it like wasn't for her, because it was like,
look at that, Brie. You get the shout out on I wouldn't be who I am today without you, and I get, well, you could have not worked as much.
Well, okay, listen.
I'm just kidding, Isaac. Listen, I love Brie. She's awesome. She has been great for you. Bring you out of your shell, from that depression piece. I don't know if depression is the right word, but just like trying to figure out your emotions and going through life. Brie has been an awesome addition to that. And she actually listens to the podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
Unlike your wife.
I know.
Golly.
I know.
Come on, Mom.
I know. Come on, Sherry. You know what, though? Here's the deal. You're on it. She'll listen to this one.
Yeah, she'll probably listen
that's
to
what
this
I'm
one.
saying. Anything for her kids. So, again, we want to wrap it up. Any advice that you could give to young people today?
Oh, man. Be intentional. I mean, I know that's kind of like what we talked about last week, but I know, at least from my personal experience, there's a lot of kids that feel like they're alone, and that it's like, I think Satan's biggest attack on my generation is just distract them with as much garbage as possible. And so it's like make you feel like you're alone to the point where it's like your only person that can relate to you is yourself and your cell phone. Yeah. And I think that's become like why the gap is getting so big on why I want to play hard and like not work and go do stuff anymore, because kids don't really know what to do with their life. So then they just sit there and envy people that do know what to do with their life. And then it just becomes, I'm stuck on my cell phone all the time to the point where it's just like you're a zombie. Like I'm looking at my phone and I don't even like realize it, because then it's just stuck in your head, and it's like a routine of like, okay, when I'm uncomfortable, I'll just get on my phone. Right. And it's just became that like, this is my pacifier, instead of like, that's why I've tried to challenge like myself with and my friends with is like, when you feel those like times, just like pray instead of like getting on your phone, and like, let's see the difference it can have, and just like being intentional of like wanting to have a relationship with Christ instead of like just having a relationship with your phone all the time and trying to live your life through a cell phone, because it's becoming a pretty bad world out there trying to live life
Right.
through a cell phone, and people are just becoming more hateful, I think. And I mean, that's what I talked about with Kyle last night, is like you can't even walk around and say like hi to people anymore, because everyone's just like pulling their mask up and putting their head down and walking forward.
It's
and
kind of like being in New York City.
Yeah.
You ever walk through New York City, Nick? So you go through New York City, everybody has headphones on, like you can't
Yep.
talk to anybody. It's
Yeah,
just like,
no one wants to talk to you. It's just keep my head down, keep walking, like don't look at me. And I think that would be a pretty sad place for our world to end up in. 'cause,
right, and so
like,
the only way it's going to change, so let's end with this.
Yep.
The way it's going to change is we're going to learn to be intentional. We're going to learn to, do what we can, whatever it takes to be in relationships with people. Find those things that are the connections. And maybe it is like what Nick was talking about, is like this whole idea that connecting maybe means that you play some video games because that's an interest to you too. Or maybe it is going hunting or fishing, but it's something. But find intentional connections that build relationships, and not have intentional connections with a virtual world that you never build a relationship in. And so seek out those relationships, be intentional about those things. Remember that we are plan A, that the way to get the gospel out is to actually tell people about it. The only way we can tell people about it is be in relationship with them. So we're going to challenge you, get in relationship, be intentional, allow God to use you to change the world. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
See ya.